Hey everyone, welcome back from your snow days. I hope everyone made it back here safely. I'm going to go over a little bit of what's on today's lesson before we get started because I know it's been a few days since we've seen each other and I won't get to see you guys again until tomorrow. The first thing I want you to make sure you've done is your bell work. The bell work is just the regular link on Classroom. It is all operations and your grade will be your percent correct today. So make sure that you try really hard to get them correct. Take your time, go through it slowly, be careful. Today's lesson is going to be a repeat of Monday's because we've had a few snow days to forget what we were doing. And I think it was a little bit tricky for a few of us anyway. So we're going to start a new worksheet, but it's going to be the same material we did on Monday. When I return tomorrow, we will pick up where we left off on 6.1. Make sure that you have a pencil and a calculator because you're going to want to use it for some operations. And then just a reminder that tomorrow we are going to be doing FastBridge, so you are going to need charged Chromebooks tomorrow. Alright, please pause the video now if you don't have a pencil and calculator and go ahead and go grab one. Alright, you should be looking at a worksheet that looks like mine up here. What you're going to do is write your name at the top. I'm going to write my name. Please write your name, not my name. Alright, so what we were talking about on Monday is how to find the missing value of a coordinate. So I'm going to call this incomplete coordinates because you'll notice that all four examples down below only have one number and then there's a blank in the other spot. Our job is to find the missing value. Your first job in order to make this happen is to determine which value is missing and then follow the steps that I've listed on our notes here. So remember that all coordinates are written as ordered pairs. An ordered pair means it goes in a certain order and it's a pair or two numbers. And X always, every single time has to go first, like the alphabet X, Y, Z. If the number you know is the X value, then you are going to rewrite the equation replacing X with the value that you're given. So for example, the first one below this, I know that I know the X value because the -3 is in the X spot. So what we're going to do is rewrite the equation, but instead of X, we're going to plug in -3. Now, I know that that's what most of you are thinking when I say that. You still have the y equals, you still have the 5, you still have the +7, but instead of that x in the middle, you have a -3. Now, I'm going to ask this, what is wrong with how I wrote this? It needs parentheses. It's not 5 minus 3. It's 5 times -3. So we're going to put our parentheses like that. Then the second step, if you read it up above, is just to perform the operations. Because y is already by itself. So we're not going to change that. We want y to be by itself because y is the thing that we are looking for. Then I just have to solve it. So for example, I'm going to do PEMDAS. I don't see parentheses or exponents, but I do see multiplication, so I'm going to do that first. 5 times -3 is -15. And then we're just going to drop down the +7, because we didn't change anything with that yet. And then I don't have division, so addition will be my last step. -15 plus 7. And -15 plus 7 is -8. And I'm going to do two things. I'm going to write y equals -8. And I'm going to write -8 as the last part of the coordinate up here so that I know. And that's how you solve for the y values. If you already know the y value, notice how on this side of the table, the number that we know, which is -3 again, is in the second spot, so it is the y value. And this makes it solve a little bit differently. Not only are we going to plug that in for the y value instead, but when I rewrite the equation, replacing the y with the value, the difference is that y was by itself on the other side, x is not by itself. So if you already know the y value, you are going to have to solve. Over on the left side, we just had to perform the operations. Over here, we have to actually solve to get x by itself. If you see any fractions, you will multiply by the denominator to cancel it out, because that's the number you're dividing by. We won't see fractions until the next two examples, so I'll get there. This one doesn't have any fractions, so I'm just going to solve. Remember, your goal is to get x by itself. So I'm going to get rid of the +7 by subtracting 7. You always want to get rid of the thing furthest away from x first, kind of like when you go to take your socks and shoes off. Your shoes have to come off first because they're furthest away from your foot. And -3 minus 7 is -10. The 5x will stay, and the 7's cross out. Then, how do you get rid of a coefficient or number in front of x? You divide. And -10 divided by 5 is -2. So -2 is my missing coordinate, the missing part of the coordinate. Now, I did set this table up so that both of the ones over here on the left have the x value, which I can tell because that 4 is in the first spot, and the 4 is in the second spot on this side. So you're going off of which one you know, not which one you're looking for. So I'm going to take that number and I'm going to plug it in for x, which will be y equals 1/2. And then I'm going to put the 4, just don't forget to always put that in parentheses. When you're plugging a number in for x and there's a bunch of other stuff around it, those parentheses are really important. So the entire equation is staying the same except for x is now a 4. Then I'm going to perform the operations. I don't have to solve it because y is already by itself. Instead, I'm just going to do half of 4, or 1/2 times 4. Half of 4 is 2. If you don't know that, I'm going to come over here to the side and write, I would do 1 divided by 2 in my calculator, and then times 4. So that fraction bar is just a division symbol. Half of 4 is 2, or 1 divided by 2 times 4. The 6 stays because we haven't done anything with it yet. And 2 plus 6 is 8. All right, last example. Y is 4 on this one. I know that it's y because it's in the second spot. Oops, too far. So I'm going to plug that in for the y value. Now, I gave you a hint up top about this. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit so it shows back up. Oh, there it is. If you have fractions, which I do have fractions, you need to multiply by the denominator. Here's why. This fraction right here is 1 divided by 2. So, to get rid of dividing by 2, I multiply by 2. Because remember, when we're solving equations, we're trying to do the opposite. But if I'm going to multiply this times 2, I need to do it to the 6 and the 4. Pretty much anything in the equation has to also get multiplied by 2. Now, I think most of us know that 4 times 2 is 8. 1/2 times 2 would be 2 halves, which is a whole, or 1. You can also do that as 1 divided by 2 times 2. But those 2's are going to cancel, and you're going to have 1 left. That was the whole point. And then 6 times 2 at the end is 12. Then I'm going to subtract that 12 to the other side. 8 minus 12. I don't have enough to subtract 12 from 8, so I'm going to have to go into the negatives by 4. Alright, your job is the assignment on the back side. There are 14 questions, but I made a couple of them a little easier by asking you to plug in the number 0. Because when you multiply things by 0, you get 0. So they're a little easier. I want you to show all of your work, write your answers on this piece of paper, turn this piece of paper in. You don't need to write your name on this side because you already wrote it on the front side. If you want to be able to check your answers, since I am not there, you can type your answers into the incomplete coordinates assignment on Google Classroom. It's one of those pictures that every time you answer a correct problem, the picture shows up. Okay, this one's New Year's themed since it's January. Okay, that is optional. It is not worth more points. It's just a little bit more fun mixed into your assignment, and it helps you check your answers if you want to. You could even work with the person sitting next to you. Have one person pull out your computer. Notice I did not say work with a partner, because working with a partner implies that you get to pick and move seats. You need to stay in your seat, work with the person sitting next to you, get to know them a little bit if it's somebody new, and turn in your assignment before you leave. Whatever is not done at the end of class becomes your homework for when I see you guys tomorrow.